let's talk about studying. Now, I'm kind of shocked that no professor, no teacher actually teaches how to study. And really, I can kind of understand it because it's a really hard thing to teach, right? It's really personalized. But there are a lot of tips that go for everyone. And I want to go through some of those with you so that you know. And you can take what works for you, you can modify what kind of works for you, and you can just leave whatever doesn't work for you, okay? This is just strictly what you want to do with it, okay? The first tip is simple: sit in a place that is conducive to work and to learning, okay? So, work in the library, in your quiet dorm room, in a workroom at Starbucks, in a friend's room who will keep you on track. If you can, and you're super hardcore, sit and study in the same room and in the same desk that you will take the test in. When you're studying, your attention span can only go so long, right? We all know this. I use the 30/5 rule, which is basically I'm going to study for 30 minutes and then I'm going to take a 5-minute break. And then I'm going to study for 30 minutes and then I'm going to take a 5-minute break. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I'm done. Your work/break rule can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so you can work for 15 minutes and then break for 5. You can work for 25 minutes and then break for 5. You can work for 50 minutes and then break for 5. You can do 45 minutes and then break for 5. What I really want to get across to you is that your working time should correspond with your attention span. So if you have a really long attention span and you know you can just go, then go for as long as you know your attention span will give you. If you have a really short attention span, go with like the 15/5 rule or something like that. What I want to emphasize is that your break should not be more than 5 minutes, okay? It breaks your focus on that topic for too much. 5 minutes is proven to be the amount of time where we can, check our phones, we can talk to a friend for a little bit, and then we can just pick back up work and know exactly where we are and where our focus is, okay? After those 5 minutes are up, it becomes a lot harder to focus yourself back on your work and to know exactly where you were. So never exceed those 5 minutes. For studying, we need to try and make the conditions that you study in as close as you will have to the test. Which means if you're going to take your test at 9:10 in this particular classroom, using this pencil, chewing this gum, and you know that, then try and copy that as close as possible. If the test is on paper, try and study on materials that are also on paper. You should wear something similar to what you're going to wear on that test day. If you're going to wear a sweatshirt and jeans, wear a sweatshirt and jeans to study. If the professor will allow you to chew gum during the test, then chew gum when you're studying. Your mind will associate the information better if it has the same taste and smell in its mouth that it did when you were studying. Okay? So chew a piece when you're studying, and then chew the piece of the same type of gum when you're taking the test. You're also going to get as close to the time of day as possible. And really, usually classes are Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Usually classes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9:10. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get as close as 9:10 as possible. If the closest we can get is 10:30, that's still better than doing it at midnight. Okay, that's scientifically proven to help you remember stuff better. When you're studying, don't multitask. And what I mean is, don't have two places where your focus is, okay? You can listen to music, but I would love it if you were listening to classical music when you do it. Studies show that classical music will help your memory. If you just can't stand classical music and you're like, no, 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 Miss Reed, I'm never going to do that, then try something that is at least doesn't have any words and it's kind of softer. It's kind of quieter, okay? Otherwise, don't listen to music. If you're going to listen to rap music, those words that are in the rap is going to get mixed up with the words that you're trying to put into your brain. And it's just going to jumble and it says, good. It actually will hinder you. Classical music helps. Rap music hinders. Studies show that peppermint, either eating it or smelling it, will help with your cognition and your memory, okay? So here's where we do the gum. Get peppermint gum, chew it when you're studying, and then when you're taking your test, chew that peppermint gum again. If that's not going to work, if your professor is completely against gum, try just a regular old red and white swirly peppermint, or put essential oils on your wrist and smell it throughout the test. Do something that gets that going. When you're studying, put the phone away. And I'm not saying that as a grumpy old person who hates phones and wishes that they didn't exist. No, I'm just as attached to mine as you are to yours. But we really, when we are studying, we can't even look at it and text back our friends. Because number one, that's multitasking. When you read a text from your friend, you break your concentration of that. And it distracts you from it. So, number one, you're multitasking. Number two, it's distracting. Number three, it breaks your stream of consciousness. So you want to keep that stream going for as long as possible. We're really saying, here's my train. I want to keep it going as smoothly as possible so that I captivate as much information as I can and I get my studying done quicker. When the test is a week ahead, kind of like where we put it in our agenda, I wonder if I did that on purpose. So when we get that, hey, there's a psychology test in 1 week, we are going to start studying. And that's another thing, is we don't want to stress over it. So we're going to start working on it so that we don't procrastinate and we don't have to spend that energy stressing over it, okay? So what you're going to do is break that content into 6 parts, okay? And you're going to study 1 part for each day. And then the last day in your 7-week period is going to be just a brief overview of everything. So if you have chapters 1 through 6, each chapter is going to be a day. And then that last day, you're going to go back through chapters 1 through 6 to make sure that you have everything. When we're studying for a test, you have to assume that everything you have gone over in that unit will be on the test, okay? So don't forget any handouts that the teacher gave you, any quotes the teacher pointed out to you in class, any practice tests that they gave you, any discussions that you had, any readings that you had, any past quizzes, and of course your notes. All of those should go into your study materials. So let's say you're in the spot where you're like, Miss Reed, I didn't put the test in my agenda. I forgot that it was happening. It's tomorrow. What do I do? How do I cram for it? You don't cram for it the night before. Your mind will not hold that information. You'll just lose it during the night. What you want to do is you want to cram for it in the morning. So if your test is at 8 a.m., congratulations, buddy. You're waking up at 6 to cram for that test. Don't stay up till 2 a.m. to do it. Wake up at 6 and then do it. The last thing is really what you've probably heard before every standardized test ever. And that is to make sure that you sleep and eat before you take a test. There is nothing worse than when you know that you know the information, but you just can't remember it because you didn't have breakfast that morning, or you didn't get enough sleep and your mind just isn't processing, okay? With these tips, you won't become an expert studier overnight, but they will give you the ability to be better at studying, and you won't fall into some of the pitfalls that your friends at college will.